Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Trading Week Recap, series I post every Friday. We reflect on the past trading week. We'll talk about a few stocks that define my week personally, and I'll just give you guys my thoughts on the general markets overall as we close out the trading week. Alright, so as always, we will go over each topic that we're going to be discussing, and then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us, as always, we have TradingView open, have the SPX, S&P 500, good way to sum up, at least the way I choose to sum up the general equity markets. So we'll take a look at that. We will take a look at Bitcoin as well, just because that's we're talking about some Bitcoin blockchain stocks today. You guys know we have to. So we will take a quick look at Bitcoin. I'll just give you guys my brief thoughts in regard to these two. And then you guys know the deal. We'll just go down the list here and I'll just talk to you guys. We'll take a look at a few charts that I feel are necessary looking at. Okay, so yeah, of course, Riot and Mara. We'll talk about Moderna, Sorrento. I probably put some of these in the title, so you guys know what to expect. But yeah, I'll just, if I feel like looking at something, we'll take a look at it. All right, so also before we get into that, actually, I do want to read you guys the beginning of this morning's newsletter that I sent out. I think I might start doing this on Friday. I think that's a good idea just because it very briefly summarizes how I felt about the trading day today, actually, when the market was open. So I'll read you guys the beginning of this. I'll probably start doing that on Friday. So we'll see if that keeps up, but I at least want to read you guys today's. So we'll do that, and then we will cover, again, as we go over the stocks, as we get to Moderna, Sorrento, and stuff, like the Biotechs, I do want to cover this news on Moderna. This is big news, I'm sure. A lot of you guys, definitely, if you're invested, have heard this. So we will cover this quickly. We will then cover this article as we move into the blockchain sector, talking about how it may not be worth owning any other asset than Bitcoin. I definitely disagree with this, but it's a cool point. I really respect the man who said this. And I do want to show you guys a little piece of content that I want to share, who is Raoul Pal. So this is a piece of content involving Raoul Pal and Bitcoin that you guys can check out. I mean, right now, if you want, I'd prefer if you watch the rest of this, but I'll share this with you guys, talk to you guys about why I like this video, and yeah, just it makes sense talking about this article. All right, so before we do get into the charts, I will ask you guys to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it, or if you're invested. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. If you're invested in any of the stocks we're talking about today, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and check out my complete portfolio daily newsletter. First link in the description if you're interested in my exact trades involving some of the stocks we're talking about today. Okay, so again, S&P 500, how I choose to sum up the equity markets. It's hard to not be bullish here, you guys, to be honest. If you guys have been around for a while, you know that you know about my skepticism surrounding the general equity markets and how this is a bubble. I still believe it's a bubble, but I'm becoming more convinced that the bubble's just not going to pop. This is, without a doubt, in my mind, a bubble. But the fact, or just the idea of the bubble popping as this relief rally, as this rally just continues, becomes less and less in my mind. Okay, so from just 101 perspective right here, as far as technicals are concerned, we're obviously probably going to see some resistance around this previous high, just because that for the S&P 500 is going to be a new high if it does go up a few more percent and break 3,400. So we're probably going to see some resistance around 3,400 in the SPY. That's not going to be surprising to me at all, just because, again, that is the point of the high prior to the crash back in February. So there is probably going to be a little bit of resistance around here. If we do break below this trend line, which has acted as a line of support, again, it could be a little deeper down. So it would have to significantly break this. It would have to probably break. It would have to break 3,200 for me to be convinced that we have entered a downtrend in the equity markets. And if it happens in the SPY, you guys, it's likely that a similar trend will happen in the Dow, in the Nasdaq, Russell 2000, etc. So again, they all move somewhat in unison. So if the SPY does break 3,200, then that would change my mind that the bubble might be popping and we'd enter a downtrend. Okay, but right now, very bullish. It closed the week green. It was a little it was red over the course of the day, but yeah, the SPY and the Dow just barely closed green. So I mean, the bulls are strong right now. Okay, so remember that, you guys. So Bitcoin, we'll take a quick look at Bitcoin. Got a lot of lines drawn here, but if you guys watched the video I posted yesterday talking about Riot and Mara, I did talk about the fact that I do still think I'm still confident in this. Like, the more I look at this, the more confident I'm feeling. Even though we did see Bitcoin pull back just a little bit over the course of the day, not much, but I'm still confident that by mid-September, we could very well see a $17,000 Bitcoin. Okay, so that's what I'm betting on. No, you guys, everything I'm saying right now, my money is on it. This is optimistic, but I just think the fundamentals behind Bitcoin as an asset class is so strong right now that it wouldn't surprise me. Okay, so I do think that after this, we could see a pretty significant pullback. We will cross that bridge when we come to it, but for right now, I'm super bullish on Bitcoin, and yeah, we'll segue. Let's start by segueing into Riot and Mara real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on these just because I just talked about them, but I do want to talk to you guys about this today. And actually, that works because then I can read this for you guys, and that's a good segue into that. All right, so I'm not going to read this because this is just an every one. For the first time in what seems like forever, I'm seeing red in the portfolio. I couldn't be less phased. Like I always say, with the stocks I'm playing, volatility is to be expected. Nothing ever just goes straight up, aside from Overstock. So Overstock is just ripping. Overstock can't be stopped. It's crazy, but we're not going to talk about that right now. If you take a look at the actual portfolio, you won't see any panic in there. On the contrary, it's all pluses. So when I update the portfolio, for those of you who aren't familiar, when I change the trades in there, I do put a plus or minus if I added or reduced the position. So that's what that means, just to clarify. If I'm long-term bullish on a position, I see days like these as a great opportunity to add a little back to my positions for the next round up. When I'm seeing red, I like to remind myself to stay rational and to remember that this is just the beginning of a bull market that I've decided to play. So both Riot Blockchain and Marathon Patent Group, can I move this? Let's move my fat face real quick. So both Riot Blockchain and Marathon Patent Group are pulling back today. Again, guys, this comes as absolutely no surprise to me after the wild rallies they've experienced this week, especially on a Friday when traders will want to take some profits. That said, I've added a little bit to each Riot and to both my Riot and Mara positions. That's how I should have said it. Nothing crazy, but buy the dips, sell the rips. I mean, classic tale, buy the dip, sell the rip. And again, you guys, with these stocks, which we will check out right now, I'm not trying to day trade these. And a big thing I said later in that newsletter is you guys can no trade you make, or you're never going to always make perfect trades, all right? That's a very important thing you have to establish. So say yesterday, if I sold all my position. Today, I could have been thinking, damn it, why didn't I sell yesterday? Why didn't I sell? It should have been so obvious. That's not how you can think, guys, because it is inevitable that you're gonna do things like that sometimes. You're gonna experience red days. This whole week has been green. So that's why I'm net positive. I'm very net positive on the week. We're eating good this weekend, that's for sure. But I mean, you guys can't think like, oh damn, I should have sold it. I should have done this. I should have done that. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. That's a loser's mentality. That's not how you can think. It is good to learn from situations like this, but don't get down on yourselves just don't play the shoulda, woulda, coulda game. That's pretty much how I'll end that. You guys get the point there. But no, you're never going to make every trade perfectly, and you're never going to execute on your portfolio perfectly, and that's fine, okay? You just have to keep the long game in mind, especially if you have such a conviction around the fundamentals of a sector that you're involved in, which is Bitcoin, Riot, Mara, that entire sector. So I'm fundamentally very convinced on this sector. We'll take a look at the technicals real quick here. Let's take a look at the charts. So I did draw just a very general here. We'll look at this let's make this a little more digestible. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Riot. Worst case scenario here with Riot, here, let's just expand this a little bit, is a head and shoulders plays out. I don't think that'll happen because I think Bitcoin's probably going to go up over the course of the weekend. Bitcoin goes up, Riot's probably going to open next week on a good note. So worst case scenario, if Bitcoin happens to tank, which is possible, you guys remember that, we could see a head and shoulders play out, which is a left shoulder head, and then we could see a right shoulder, and that would actually bring Riot back down to this lower line of support, which it would be a bummer, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if that happened. But again, you guys, I'm just so long-term bullish on these, it doesn't really faze me. We're going to see volatility. It's to be expected. Like I said in the newsletter, like volatility around these stocks that are so small and so innovational and just ripping is not going to be surprising. So if we do see a significant pullback, it's a bummer. But again, you guys just keep an eye on the long goal. Strong hands always win in the long run. And you guys just have to keep reminding yourself that, okay? So what I think is more likely to happen, I think we might fake out like a head and shoulders pattern. You see that sometimes in the markets, especially in stocks like this, where on a real note, the short-term time frame, I always say fundamentals over technicals. That's long-term. Short-term, technicals rule, okay? So I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of fake out a head and shoulders and then boost up, or unless Bitcoin just absolutely explodes over the course of the weekend, which is also a possibility. I think we'll just probably open, and I'm still expecting like over the course of the next couple weeks, probably next week, I'd say. Again, you guys, it's very dependent on Bitcoin's performance. I wouldn't be surprised to see a $5 to $5.50 Riot. All right, so that's Riot. We'll talk about that on Sunday as well, most likely. So let's do Mara. Mara is definitely kind of staying within this pattern. Both Riot and Mara did go down significantly. They bounced pretty nicely as the market was closing, but they did see, I think Mara was down almost as much as like 20% over the course of the day. But it did nicely bounce off just this lower line of support that it's set I drew this line because you can see right here in late July, it did have a very rough area where you could have drawn a line of support. And then you have this right here that just happened a few days ago where that acts almost as a line of support as well. So it did bounce off this lower one, and then this other one is just kind of a supplemental line. All right, so again, you guys, trend lines are never exact. It's just to give you an idea. It's just to give you a rough idea and a rough idea of trend direction and what could potentially happen. That's pretty much what all technical analysis is. Okay, so again, don't bring this up a lot. Volume is low. RSI is starting to curl up on the hourly, which is bullish when the RSI is curling up like that, or stochastic RSI, I should say specifically, is curling up like that, usually a good sign. And again, it's very dependent on Bitcoin's price action. It makes me happy to see these pull back today because, again, it was a buying opportunity. Buy the dips, sell, take a little bit of profits off on the rips, still holding my position long term on both of these. All right. So just look at Overstock broke $100 today for I believe the first time. Yeah. So Overstock just cannot be stopped. That's so wild. Overstock reached a high of $110 today. There's just so much freaking volume on this stock, and this thing is the best freaking performing asset of 2020. It's insane. So again, you guys, Overstock for me is like a set it and forget it position. I barely look at that just because it's in my stock portfolio. I kick myself every day for for selling my call options on this. Probably around like, when did I sell that? It was probably around like $40 or something. I had some great long-term calls that would be on fire right now. Probably a couple months back now, but something weird happened with the contracts. They like restructured their contracts, so I was just like, I don't really want to deal with that. But I mean, if I kept those, I'd be the portfolio would be even looking even prettier. But Overstock is still like my largest single stock position for the most part. So I'm very happy to be experiencing this. I've experienced it more than 10x by far in this stock, so very happy for that. Overstock, I mean, it would just looking at this, you keep wanting to think that it's going to pull back, and that's why I've been waiting for a pullback to establish some call options, but it just hasn't, and it just keeps ripping. So we'll see if Overstock pulls back. It is following like this very just general technical, like if you just like this is a pretty, like just draw a rough like trend line right here, and it'll likely follow this. Okay, so yeah, that's what you have to remember, guys. And in rippers like this, in small market caps, like traders kind of run this stock right now. Retail definitely runs this stock. The stock's probably hot as hell on Robinhood and every like Webull, every trading platform like that. So I mean, it'll probably just stay in this channel, and that's what I'm guessing. Okay, so I don't want to spend too long on this. Let's move on to some biotechs, and let's kick it off with this article. Okay, so Swiss government signs agreement with Moderna for COVID-19 vaccine. I imagine a lot of you guys saw this already. This news is everywhere, and again, especially if you're invested, 100% you've seen this. I have a lot of people just hitting me up about this. Great news. So, Zurich Reuters. Switzerland has signed an agreement with Moderna to secure early access to the COVID-19 vaccine the U.S. biotech company is developing. The government said on Friday, Switzerland will get 4.5 million doses of the vaccine, enough to vaccinate 2.25 million people. If, as expected, 2 doses are needed per patient. The government is also talking to other vaccine companies and has allocated $300 million Swiss francs, which is like 330 mil USD to the project. Okay, so again, great news. This just keeps all these pieces of news just keep validating the belief that I've had since we started talking about Moderna like months back, is that they're the leader. They're the leader in the space. It's very likely, almost inevitable in my mind, that they'll probably establish a successful vaccine prior to any other company. That's my bet. That's what my money is on. I could be wrong. Always remember that, you guys. It's for sure a factor, especially in such a wild endeavor like this in creating a vaccine, which is probably one of the hardest tasks on the planet if you were to actually break it down scientifically. So, I mean, I'm still confident in Moderna. Again, as far as trials are concerned, they're phase 3. I believe they're supposed to announce it in October, but I wouldn't be surprised. Everyone thinks it's going to be announced in October. You just have to play the psychological game. So everyone thinks the trials are going to be announced in October. Say you're playing call options. I mean, everyone's probably going to buy October calls because, like, yeah, they're releasing news in October. I want October calls. But it's like, I bet Moderna will release like a very impressive update. This is what I'm thinking. I think Moderna is probably going to announce a very significant and a very reassuring update probably within the next couple of weeks. And I think we're going to see some crazy price action in the next couple of weeks. Let's take a look at Moderna right now. So we'll talk about Moderna and Sorrento. Those are the only two plays I'm really focusing on right now, to be honest. I'm not doubting that you could see some, like, even like Novavax, Vaxart. I'm not doubting these stocks can still do good. Novavax is actually at 170 right now, so that's impressive. I'm not trading Novavax anymore. But Moderna, you guys, like, Moderna is still... I'm not taking these lines away. So Moderna is like just about to bounce off this absolute lower line of support, and I think I'm so confident that it's not going to go below that. And at the very least, I think we will try to go up and retest this middle trend line, this upper, like, both that acted as both support and resistance, around $95 over the course of the next couple of weeks. And then again, I'm confident in the fact that they probably will release very impressive just clinical trial data, and I wouldn't be surprised if when that happens we see this upward, this absolute top line of resistance come into play again, and then you're just getting into real high territory. Okay, so again, the longer this spans out, the higher that trend line goes, and I wouldn't be surprised at all, again, if they do, if their vaccine does prove efficacy, that we could see $130, $140, $150 Moderna. Okay, so that's Moderna. Still super bullish. I mean, I think this is a great buying opportunity. Like, to sum it up, I think right now is an amazing buying opportunity for Moderna. Not financial advice. Do your own research. I picked up a little more today, so I'll tell you guys that much. Let's go on to Sorrento. Sorrento's just been doing super well. So again, Sorrento is above the $14 line right now. It wouldn't surprise me to see a correction in Sorrento just because the volume's good, but it's kind of becoming a hype stock, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a slight correction on Sorrento. What makes most sense to me is that we'll probably use this line that was resistance that it just broke through and then rallied up as kind of a line of support now. So if you guys can see this, I'll just extend this. So if you just extend this line, you guys get the point here. So I think it will start to use this line as support, as a line of support. So if Sorrento comes and bounces down like the 1380 region, I'll probably pick up more because, again, I'm pretty convinced that at this point it will probably start using this line that was once resistance as a line of support. Okay, so that would coincide nicely with the 21, probably 50 EMA at that point. I mean, 50 EMA obviously is a lot lower just because that's how exponential moving averages work. But 21 EMA like bounced nicely off this lower line of support around, yeah, like 1350 to 1375. That's pretty wide range, but yeah, I'd definitely pick up more Sorrento personally if it does bounce around this area. Okay, so that's Moderna, that's Sorrento. There's nothing. I'll just take a look down here. So again, Novavax was up a little bit today. Vaxart, Inovio is down a little bit. The EV sector has been taking a toll lately. I haven't talked about that much lately, but I'm not. I do hold a little bit. For full transparency, I hold a little bit of a few of these in my stock portfolio. It's a pretty insignificant amount, and I'm confident in them long term, so that's why they're like in my set it and forget it portfolio. But I mean, I still think this sector is fundamentally overvalued. I've thought that for a long time, you guys. Sorry if you think otherwise. But it's not surprising to me to see this pulling back. Obviously, Tesla, the kingpin, is pulling back, and that is the catalyst for a lot of this sector pulling back. Remember that, you guys. Sectors, not always, but a lot of the time, move in unison. Again, guilty by association. That's how sectors work a lot of the time. All right, so Tesla. I mean, I would not. I'm not touching Tesla 100% any level above 1,000. If it pulls back to 1,000, I might consider that, but I would never touch Tesla stock above 1,000 at this point in time, to be completely honest. Again, sorry to Tesla Moon Boys, but that's how I feel. I love Tesla as a company. I just think the stock is way too high right now. Silver actually was crushing it for me this week. So this is another real set it and forget it stock for me. I do also have call options on silver, a bunch of silver and silver miners as well. So silver is crushing it. Like, this is wild for silver. Okay, so I'll show you guys this real quick. I don't know how interested you guys are in this, but I'm personally very bullish on silver and silver miners right now. Gold miners as well, but silver, silver, we've seen a lot of gains in silver. So I was preaching silver like a couple of months back now. And I mean, all the positions I have around silver have absolutely killed it. Okay. And again, that's because silver was so historically undervalued. It was so obvious that silver was going to do well. And now it's doing exactly kind of as a lot of us had anticipated, if you're familiar with silver. So if you look at this is iShares Silver Trust. This is just kind of like betting on physical silver as a stock. Absolutely parabolic. Like, that is crazy price action for a commodity like silver. Like, usually it's very, aside from this liquidity crisis in March, like, it's usually super, I'm way too, here, let's go to like the 5-year. Let's take a look at look at that. Like, silver, this is unprecedented price action for silver until you get back here, of course. Back in, wow, that's crazy. So, in the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see silver break past beyond previous highs. You can see here it is bouncing around this line. Right here where it used as a line of support many times. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see a pullback here in silver because this is a strong line of just support resistance. It works both ways. So I'd be surprised to see a pullback just because it's going so parabolic. But I wouldn't be surprised at all to see, like, by the end of the year, over the course of the next year, to see a $50 iShares Silver Trust stock. So keep that in mind, you guys. I'm bullish on any safe haven asset, any store value asset, anything that people I think gold and silver is so much more inefficient and obviously unpractical than Bitcoin, but it's the legacy version. So it's still going to have a lot of popularity among people who want that safe haven asset, want to store value as the dollar depreciates. That said, let's move into this article and we'll talk about Bitcoin a little bit. I'll talk to you guys about this and then we'll call it. All right. So Raoul Pal, it may not be worth owning any other asset than Bitcoin. Raoul Pal, CEO and founder of Real Vision, big fan of that YouTube channel. Check him out. Actually, this isn't a Real Vision video, but check out Real Vision YouTube channel. I like a lot of their stuff, okay, especially the ones involving Raoul. Says Bitcoin may soon become his only asset for long-term investments. CEO and founder of Real Vision, Raoul Pal, says his conviction levels in Bitcoin are rising on a daily basis as he compares the crypto asset to traditional investments on various timescales. Applying economic cycle theory in a series of charts posted to Twitter, the former Goldman Sachs fund manager. Okay, so keep that in mind, you guys. This is a very accomplished, this dude has a track record. He's a veteran in this game. So former Goldman Sachs fund manager stated that although many investors choose gold as an alternative to fiat, Bitcoin has been the only asset in the world to offset the growth of the G4 balance sheet. The G4 refers to the Bank of England, the Bank of Japan, the Federal Reserve, and the European Central Bank. So we're not worried about that too much, you guys. I just want to read these quotes. Okay, so it's not stocks, not bonds, not commodities, not credit, not precious metals, not miners. Only one asset massively outperformed almost any time horizon, and that's Bitcoin. Okay, so again, you guys, if you remember the chart we just looked at in a video yesterday, a couple days ago, I can't remember, but it was like all the safe haven assets: gold, silver, Bitcoin, something else that I can't, maybe bonds, but Bitcoin far outperformed. It was the S&P, so it was traditional equities. Bitcoin is the best performing asset of our lifetime for the most part. Okay, Bitcoin started out at a few cents. It's now floating around 12K. So it's so obvious that Bitcoin is gonna succeed. It's so obvious to me. My conviction levels in Bitcoin rise every day. I'm already irresponsibly long. That's how I think sometimes. Like, it's almost irresponsible how much of my net worth I've allocated into Bitcoin and kind of Bitcoin subsidiaries, like stocks like Riot and stuff. But I'm just so damn bullish on this sector. I'm now thinking it may not be worth even owning any other asset as a long-term asset allocation, but that's a story for another day. Bullish for 2025. Paul told Cointelegraph in May that the devaluation of the world currencies will cause the price of Bitcoin to rise 50x to 100x in the next 5 years. He interpreted economic cycle theory charts to mean the cryptocurrency could eventually reach $1 million. As of this writing, the price of Bitcoin is approaching 11.8K, having risen 6% in the last 7 days. So I wouldn't be surprised at some point in our lifetime Bitcoin could reach $1 million. That would put it at a multi-trillion dollar market cap. And that's how you guys have to think of it. Don't think of it as individual Bitcoin. You have to look at the market cap and what what percentage of the overall financial markets and global economy that market cap would consume. Okay, so gold is what, like five, actually probably more closer to like a six. Oh man, I should know this. Probably 6 to 8 trillion. You guys, please check me on that. It's probably, I would guess, $6 to $8 trillion market right now. Bitcoin is only worth 250, 300 billion at the moment. Okay, so Bitcoin has so much more room for growth that it's crazy. Like, the Bitcoin is such a young asset still. It's only 10 years old, you guys. Gold is thousands of years old. Think about the asymmetric upside for Bitcoin in 2020, in a world that's printing trillions of dollars in fiat currency. All right, I'm just so bullish on Bitcoin. You guys know that. I don't want to preach this too much, you guys, but like, Bitcoin is by far, this asset class, the cryptocurrency market, is like far and away right now the single sector I'm by far the most bullish on. Okay, so just know that, you guys. It's okay if you're not. It's okay if you're not interested in this. If you're interested in tech and more tangible things, because this is a very it's a very fringe asset class that you do have to spend a lot of time educating yourself on to kind of understand it and really geek out on it. But again, if this isn't your cup of tea, that's perfectly fine. Just I do encourage you to just do a little more research, get a little more exposure on it, and again, just take a super small position if you don't have one yet. Not financial advice, but consider establishing a financial position. Okay, so again, watch this video, you guys. This dude is so damn articulate. I wish I could be this articulate when I talk about Bitcoin, but again, this dude's a veteran, so I view this guy as one of my mentors. I've listened to a lot of his stuff over the years, and I view him as one of my mentors in this space. So again, Bitcoin and the Future of Finance by Raoul Pal, Blockchain Association of the Cayman Islands is the channel. Just check this out. Google Raoul Pal Bitcoin, you'll probably find it, but probably Google this if you obviously want to find it immediately. Great video. He does a great job at explaining Bitcoin. It's a little on the longer side, but even if you just listen to the first like half hour, you'll get a lot out of it. And you listen to that, you'll probably want to stick around for the next half hour. This is a great interview, so check it out, you guys. That's a little content. I will drop another content of the week tomorrow in the Waves Weekly, so stay tuned for that. And again, you guys, as always, if you do want to know exactly how I'm trading, exactly what call options, put options, stock positions I have in any of the stocks we talked about today, as well as get the newsletter that we read some of in the beginning, you can check out my complete portfolio daily newsletter exactly as it states, everything I just said. First link down below if you're interested in it at all. I do appreciate it. If not, no worries. But let me know in the comments as well what your trading week looked like. Did you close out green, red? I'm hoping green. I'm assuming green for a lot of you. Yeah, just let me know what you want to talk about next week, what you're excited about for the weekend. Literally anything. Always love talking shop with you guys. Always love learning from you guys as well. Okay, so look forward to talking to you guys down there. As always, until next time, you guys, take action, make waves. Peace.